Easter, Custer Road. We are so excited to welcome all of our friends today for this special family Easter celebration. We're happy that you are joining us from wherever you are. There is so much to love about Easter and the Easter season. What is your favorite part? Tell us in the comments. There are egg hunts and candy and the Easter bunny and all sorts of amazing things. But today we are going to remember the greatest story ever told, the story that changed the world forever. The story of Easter and Jesus' resurrection from the dead. There is no one better than Jesus to celebrate on this happy day. Let's stand together and sing.
Day in history, death is beating, you have rescued me. Sing it out, Jesus is alive. The empty cross, the empty grave, life eternal, you have won the day. Shout it out, Jesus is alive. He's alive. I stand in that place, free at last, meeting face to face. I am yours, Jesus, you are mine. In this joy, perfect peace, earthly pain finally will cease. Celebrate, Jesus is alive. He's alive.
Hi everyone, one of my favorite parts of Easter is Easter eggs. I love dyeing them and hunting them and seeing what's inside them. Did you know that the United States even has an annual Easter egg roll each year at the White House? Since 1878, we can thank Rutherford B. Hayes for that. But since none of us can be there for the roll at the White House, we thought it would be fun to have an extreme Easter egg roll of your own. Are you ready to play a game? Figure out how many family members are going to play and go grab an egg for each family member. It can be a plastic egg, or if you're feeling really brave, it can be a real egg. You've got 30 seconds. Go grab them now. All right, everyone have their eggs? Great. Now, you need to pick an open area of your house where your family can line up shoulder to shoulder and then create a finish line. And then on the count of 3, you'll have 1 minute to roll your egg across the room. But wait, there's more. This is an extreme Easter egg roll, so you can't use your hands or your feet. What else could you use? Maybe your nose? Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go!
In the beginning, God created everything. He formed people in His own image. There was nothing between God and us. It was peaceful. It was perfect. But then we turned away from God. When sin entered the world, everything broke. It seemed there was no way for us to be whole again. But God loved us so much.
That He made a plan to rescue us.
God sent His very own Son, Jesus, to live among us. Jesus connected with people, old and young, happy or hurting, people like you and me. Jesus healed the sick and forgave those who hurt others. His closest friends saw Jesus was the one sent by God to fix this broken world and make us right with God. They couldn't wait for it to happen. When Jesus entered Jerusalem, huge crowds gathered to welcome Him.
But the religious leaders thought Jesus would change too much. They made plans to stop Him.
At a special dinner, Jesus told His friends that He had to leave them, but He would return.
That night, Jesus was arrested. He was beaten and given a fake trial. The religious leaders sent Jesus to the Roman governor, who could sentence him to die. Pilate found Jesus had broken no law, but a mob called for Jesus to be killed. Pilate gave in. He handed Jesus over to Roman soldiers. Jesus carried the heavy, rough beam of his own wooden cross up a hill.
Soldiers nailed Jesus' hands and feet to the rough wood and raised him off the ground. But Jesus never stopped showing God's love and mercy. Even from the cross, Jesus asked God to forgive those people who were hurting Him.
Finally, Jesus called out, "It is finished."
Then He died. Jesus' body was placed inside a stone tomb with a huge rock blocking the entrance. It seemed the plan had failed, that the world was broken forever, that no one could put the pieces back together. Early Sunday morning, on the day we call Easter, Mary Magdalene hurried to the tomb. She wanted to make sure Jesus' body was buried properly. But something was wrong. The stone was rolled away. When Mary looked inside, the tomb was empty.
Mary saw a man and asked for help. The man called her name, and then she knew. It was Jesus, alive!
God's plan could not be stopped, even by death. His love was too big. Jesus,
God's Son,
took all our broken pieces.
All of our sin.
and made something new.
Jesus lived and died
And
rose
rose again.
So we could be right with God.
Forever.
Wow, what an amazing story. Our God is so good at taking something that's broken and turning it into something that's beautiful. Our Easter story is full of surprises, which reminds me of those eggs that we were using in our extreme egg roll earlier. Was there anything rattling around inside your egg while you were rolling it? The contents of an Easter egg are always a surprise. You can shake it and try and guess what's inside, but you never know until you open it. But I bet if I were to show you an egg like this, that you'd know exactly what was inside, because you've seen an egg before, right? And it's always the same. What do you think is in there? Should we find out? All right, let's do it. Ooey, gooey, egg yolk. Were you right? Inside of an egg, there's always slimy egg yolks, right? Should we do one more just to be sure? Okay, let's do it. Yep, still slimy egg yolk. We knew just what to expect inside of those eggs, didn't we? Mary thought she knew just what to expect when she arrived at the tomb 3 days after Jesus had died, because she had seen a tomb before and she knew what was supposed to be inside, a body. Maybe you've been to the cemetery before and you've seen the place where bodies are buried. At the top of it, there's usually a tombstone that marks who is buried there. This was a little bit different. The tomb that Jesus was in was more like a cave. His body was placed inside and a stone was rolled in front of it. So when Mary arrived, she expected to see a tomb with a stone in front of it and a body inside. But when she arrived, something surprising happened. The stone in front of the tomb was gone. And when Mary looked inside, she discovered the tomb was empty. Jesus was gone. What could this mean? Where was Jesus? I wonder how Mary felt. Probably confused, maybe a little scared, maybe even a little excited, maybe all of those feelings. How would you have felt? We know now that Jesus wasn't in the tomb because Jesus was alive. There is nothing in the world that could stop Jesus' love for us, not even death on a cross. Because remember, our God is wonderful at taking things that are broken and turning them into something beautiful. Let's listen along now as our 5th graders tell us a little bit more about what it might have been like on that morning that Mary found out that Jesus is alive.
'Twas the morning of Easter before the sun rose. 2 guards on a hillside were trying to doze. You see, Jesus had only died 3 days before. A huge stone had been placed to seal the cave door.
The disciples were sleeping but tossed in their beds as visions of danger swirled round in their heads. Would they be arrested and led away too? Without their leader Jesus, what would they do?
In her small, quiet home not too far away, Jesus' friend Mary was planning the day. She would go to the cave with perfume and spice in hopes that her gifts would make Jesus smell nice.
The sun through the trees was just starting to peep at the guards on the hill who were now fast asleep, when all of a sudden there came an earthquake, and the rocks and the trees all started to shake.
The guards jumped in fright and fell straight to the floor as the stone rolled away and unsealed the door. Then Mary arrived and crept up to the cave. She had to see Jesus. She had to be brave.
But the cave was now empty. He just wasn't there. Mary sat down and wept, and her cries filled the air. But suddenly Mary saw someone behind. "Dear woman, who is it that you hope to find?"
Mary jumped and turned round, so confused and afraid. Was this man the gardener? And why had he stayed? But the calm in his voice, the words that he said, soon let Mary know she had nothing to dread.
"Dear Mary, it's me. It's Jesus, your friend. My story's just starting. This wasn't the end." His eyes, how they twinkled, his smile so bright, Mary knew in a moment, but could she be right? She gasped in surprise and cried, "Jesus, it's you. You've come back to life. Your promise came true." Jesus nodded and said, "But there's no time to lose. You must tell the disciples. Go, spread the news." So she jumped to her feet and away Mary went. She had a story to tell, a tale heaven sent. She ran without stopping and called through the door, "Disciples, you've never heard this news before." Now Peter, now James, now Thomas, now John. I went to the cave, Jesus' body was gone. But he called me by name, he's alive, it is true. It's a miracle only our great God could do. Then the trees seemed to dance, birds started to sing, all creation joined in to worship the King. "He's alive, he's alive!" the rocks cried in praise. The whole earth rejoiced on this day of all days. When later that night, Mary knelt down to pray, she thought about all that had happened that day, and the stars heard her whisper through soft evening light, "Happy Easter to all, and to all a good night."
That's right, friends. The whole earth is rejoicing today because Jesus is alive. Let's stand together and worship, singing one of our favorite songs. 1, 2, 3. Jesus is alive. Let's stand and sing together.
Jesus is alive. 1, 2, 3. Jesus is alive. He died for you and me, but on day 3, Jesus rose again. Jesus is alive. 1, 2, 3. Jesus is alive. 1, 2, 3. Jesus is alive. He died for you and me, but on day 3, Jesus rose again. Jesus is alive. God loved the world, so he gave his son. Jesus is our friend. He loves everyone.
Happy Easter, Custer Road. And always remember that you are a blessing. Bye.